Hi and welcome back to David Tom Creations channel. Today I'm going to be looking at Native Instruments Mysteria, and I got this as part of the Complete 13 Ultimate upgrade, and I have been wanting to review it for quite a while. So it is quite expensive. It's £270 to buy on its own, but obviously you can get it as part of Complete 13, either Ultimate or the Collector's Edition. And it is a cinematic vocal instrument, and if you've never seen it, it is pretty amazing. It's probably one of the best interfaces that I've kind of seen. It is a bit like a play series on steroids, as it uses it kind of blends between two layers, but those layers have got more than one sample in them, so it can get quite complicated. And it has a kind of XY pad as well. It was done in collaboration with Galaxy Instruments, who also worked on things like Noir, Una Corda, Thrill, and some other Native Instrument stuff. And it has a very large library of content. So it has 800 specially recorded sound sources. You get 600 playable layers, and it has, I think, 350 presets. Basically, I'll just read you a bit of this. Mysteria is a one-of-a-kind cinematic instrument that captures the human's voice, unique ability to convey emotion. Mysteria harnesses hours of specially recorded choirs curated to convey the entire spectrum of human emotion. So it is all vocal based, and it ranges from, obviously male to female, and it goes through everything from kind of like choirs to Gregorian, chants, sound effects. I mean, it's absolutely massive. Right, so the XY control forms the centerpiece of Mysteria. The X-axis morphs between the sound sources, so going basically left to right, and the Y-axis increases the emotional intensity, so it goes from basically very quiet to pretty bloody loud. And you can obviously do this in like real time, live. So you can play notes and increase the intensity or switch the X-axis between layers. So it's pretty cool. The only problem is that obviously none of the Native Instruments controllers have a joystick, so you have to kind of use either your mouse or two of the control knobs. So the first two control knobs, you can adjust the X and the Y axis. So that is the only drawback, that if there was a joystick, which obviously you could use a different controller that has a joystick and try and map it to that, but whether or not that would work, I don't know. Mysteria is made up of there's two kind of sound sources. One of them's called atmospheres, and that is evolving textures which develop shifts in intensity and emotion. And the atmospheres have two sounds within that kind of whole layer, as it were. And you can do all sorts of things. You can adjust the panning, the tuning, ADSR, and the fading between both sounds. So that's pretty cool. And then there's the clusters. So the clusters are got a different interface, and they are basically one sound. And they are for granular control over voices in a tonally playable cluster. So change the way certain sounds build, shift, and evolve using the XY pad, or even build chords and musical groupings for an additional layer of expression. So there's a whole lot of editable presets, and you can build your own from scratch with up to 8 voices that can be individually tuned and panned. And there's 3 modes of playing: glide, add-on, and parallel, and each treat the cluster in a different way for sonic effects. So it is bloody complicated, and it has a 30-page manual, and it is one of the few that I have actually read, just to get a bit more in-depth information about how to use it. So Galaxy worked on quite a lot of Native Instruments stuff before, and what you need is either the contact player or complete control, and it is a 30 gig download, which is one of the biggest that I've done to date, I think. And like I said, you get 350 master presets, 600 layer presets, and 800 sound sources. So it is pretty big. And like I said, you've got other kind of... So they did Thrill as well. So I haven't even downloaded Thrill because that's another 30 gigabyte. And I have had a look at Mallet Flux, and I might do a review of that as well. So anyway, so that is kind of the sort of crux of Mysteria. And we'll have a look at it in... I'm going to use it in Complete Control. So I will switch over to that. Right, so here we are in Complete Control with Mysteria loaded up, and as you can see, it is pretty amazing looking bit of design. I don't know who did the graphic design on this, but it is absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, it is made up of an atmosphere and a cluster. So I'll let you hear what it sounds like. So some of the presets will actually, change the pitch, and some of them don't. So this one it goes from, so that's the lowest key I've got, to the highest, and that's kind of middle C. And like I said, some of them do, some of them don't. It just depends on the sounds that you've got loaded within the preset. So this one can play a kind of evolving choir. Like I said, you've got your XY axis, and like I said, I'm using so this is the first knob on the controller on the keyboard, my S49 keyboard. So that does the XY, so that is down below, is abstract attacks, and that's a blend of both. And then the second knob does the intensity, so we go, so that is fully all kind of low intensity. That is pretty cool. And like I said, you can obviously just drag that around with the mouse in real time. So you can go. So like I said, you could like perform live with this. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. So like I said, this is an atmosphere. So if I click on, so these are kind of, that's your kind of home page, and this is your kind of adjustment. So as you can see, this side is the down below preset is made up of two sub hums, and like I said, you can adjust the volume, the pan, the mix. And so this is, there's also tuning, so you can adjust the pitch, spread, and the density. There's ADSR, so you've got attack and release, and then there's crossfade. So you can change the type of crossfade between the two sounds, and you can also adjust it with this as well. Huge amount of adjustment you can have there. So you can, like I said, we could adjust the panning so that one pan's right, one pan's left. And then we could adjust the volume of hum 2. Pan that. And then we could adjust the pitch. density, and also the attack release. And crossfade, so we could change the fade. So you can see this more on this right hand side, as I come to. And it still allows you to muck about and just see how that affects the whole sound, which is pretty good. And the abstract choir cluster, and you can adjust different things within the clusters. So you've got voices, 1, 2, 3, 4 different voices. So we can go to voice 3. So we can switch, let's add on glide, and it's saying it's using for voices. So we've also got the pitch controls there, and like I said, that is the kind of voice control. So the next one is the effects. So again, it is the kind of same controls for both of them, but there's rather a lot in there. So you've got things like hacker and mutate, and color, drive, phaser, stereo. So you've got the mod effects, you've got the EQ, you've got space, and you've got replica built in as well. So it is huge. So you've got space, which is kind of we're in vintage, so we could change that to spheres, and there's different presets for this as well. We've got sandstorm and space station, and then you can link it to both samples, and last but not least is the EQ, I think, yeah. So this is the main EQ, where you can change your frequencies, gain, the drive, saturation, drive, output, and dynamics. And there's just more, there's more controls on this than probably any other. The only one I can think of is Heaviosity's Vocalese 2, which has got a ridiculous amount of kind of adjustments for that as well. Over and above all that, you can actually randomize this particular preset. So there's a randomize for each side. So, and you can also either have it with everything on, so sources, parameters, and effects, or you can switch some of these off. So it'll only randomize the parameters or the effects. So for instance, we could randomize the effects. So that's the effects and the parameters, and then so that's completely different. It's got a new source, so you can undo these as well, and then redo them up here. So that is pretty cool. And like I said, you can do that for either atmospheres or clusters, and the clusters have got their own randomized, so you've got voicing and effects and sources. So it's kind of different because the clusters uses the so for instance, yeah, we could randomize that. Redo that. So it's like that. So we'll randomize the voicing and effects. one that has atmospheres and clusters. Now, so obviously you can have some that have got 2 atmospheres, some that have got 2 clusters. It purely depends. So I'll run through some of the presets. Oh, and the other thing which I forgot to mention is, they should have really made this more obvious. You wouldn't even notice it. I mean, I read the manual and happened to find out about it. So you can see here, if you can see, there's 2 lines and there's a dot on either side. Now this is actually a control for part of the intensity as well. So it'll adjust where the intensity starts and stops. So if I adjust this bottom one, you can see the dots moving up. So you can, so it kind of adjusts the amount of intensity that so you can see, if I'll move this over, so if you can hear that. Right, so that's basically nothing. So yeah, so that is another control that, like I said, you wouldn't even really notice it was there. So they could have made it a wee bit bigger, like maybe like having a little arrow or triangle or something, and made this, because you can't even see that dot because it's the same color as the bloody graphic. So that is a bit weird. But and to be honest, you don't necessarily need to use it because you can adjust, that many other things. But I'm just pointing it out because, like I said, I didn't even notice it until I was going through the manual. So anyway, so that is an atmosphere in a cluster, and I'll try and find one that is just 2 atmospheres, or right. So this one's 2 atmospheres. So this is melody, Alti Melody 1 and 2. And that is not affected by the keyboard at all. It is the same no matter where I play it on the keyboard. And you can see what that is made up of. Exactly the same. So it's duplicated those. So let's try another. I'll switch my favourites on. Right, so in fact, see what that one is. That's 2 atmospheres as well. So we've got Gregorian Canon and a Quartet Swarm. And that is not being affected by pitch either. Right, there we go. We've got 2 well, it's the same cluster. So yeah, we've got 2 clusters. So this one's so that is very low and high, and that is middle C. So it's not really going to make a lot of difference going from one to the other because they're going to be quite similar. But like I said, you can get quite a nice So yeah, pretty cool. I do like the clusters. Right, let's. So you've got weird stuff like this that is just like deep talk, and so you've got deep talk and speak and whisper. So like I said, they're not all like quite so that's deep talk. That's mental. I'm just mental. Right, evolving chords. So we've got those two clusters again. So this is awesome. So if you can remember Enigma from the kind of 90s, and this is, I mean, imagine if they had this bit of software, it would have been pretty amazing. So yeah, so this is what it kind of reminds me of. Basically, some of Enigma's tracks. That is very nice. Right, evolving major. Yeah, so you've got things like this is pure Enigma. Right, so all I need now is a bit of drums going over that, and we're cooking with gas. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to try doing a track with the machine using this. Right, so I'll actually use my mouse because we'll see what. This is the thing, it's a bit of a shame you can't do this via the keyboard, but that's Native Instruments for you. Right, Living Dead. So very cool. More medieval chants. I do like a bit of medieval chanting. Right, so for instance, we could do a bit of randomization on this, and we'll just see what it comes up with. So yeah, it is pretty cool. Right, reattacks and swells. So that's these clusters come up quite a lot. And last but not least, on the presets, or my favourites. hear the difference there with that cross read. And I forgot to say that you can actually switch these little, so you can actually switch one of these off as well. So for instance, we could switch that one off and just have this one on that I've adjusted. And we can change this to echo. And change that to deep darkness. And bring up the drive. And rotate. Resonance. And whatever hacker is. So hacker is different types of waves. So we'll have a saw up. Right, let's change that a bit. Slow down. I'll put on hard pulse. And that is the amount and the speed. So you can see that is completely changed. Reload that again. You can see that is quite a bit of difference. Take my favourites off. So let's say there's according to this, there's 367 presets, which is more than they were saying on the website, so they must have added some. But I have gone through most of these, and there's things like apocalyptic choirs, if I could say it. So there is all sorts of, and the amount of tweak. I mean, you could spend about an hour just tweaking one preset. By the time you've gone into, like I said, all these different layers, swapping out. So you can actually swap out each of these presets as well, which I forgot to mention. So you could make that Male Anthem 4A, for instance. And this one, Dense Cluster 2, we'll hit go, and then so like I said, I mean, the amount of adjustment you can make is mind-numbing. And like I said, you've got, like, you know, the clusters are a different set, but there's still a lot you can do. I mean, there's more adjustments on the atmospheres, because they are working with the obviously two kind of samples. So there we go. That is a very quick overview of Mysteria. And like I said, I'll try and do a track featuring this expansions on my machine, and we'll see how I get on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.